Hi guys, welcome. Well, I said I was going to review this figure next. So you're looking at the box. So I'll come in a bit close and you can see Peter Parker there and all the other characters that come in this wave. I'm sure there's a lot more than that, but that's Peter Parker, Spider-Man, from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So we'll come up to the platform and there you'll see the man himself alongside Miles Morales. Coming close on that. I love that figure and I got him a couple of days ago, and since not acquiring the Kingpin, which would very much well go with these two figures in combat poses, I've gone on to get Iron Man and this guy, and I'm really pleased because if you've watched it as many times as I have, that's pretty much his likeness all over. Although you get another Peter Parker that's similar to him, because he's got blonde hair, this Spider-Man, but he's got brown hair, the other Peter Parker, and he's got a combination of his spider suit on and civilian clothes. But I personally think, and I'm going to come in close, I was looking at a review of him and you can see the detail of the spider web on the suit, but some of the fans were saying how they wanted to see it lined in black. But I said before, I've seen it quite a few times and this is the image for me and I like it. So we're going to see these two posed out with their masks on, and the other hands, which are the web shooting hands, and they're their masks, and you can just about make out the hands behind. So that's what we're going to see and see what we can come up with. So we're back with this first pose, kind of on the one knee but extending one of the lead legs. Come to Peter Parker first, like that look. And he's very articulate, he's tight jointed, which is a good thing, and he does achieve pretty much every Spider-Man pose I put him in. I know the fans wanted a bit more articulation, but I find this figure to be good. Now, thinking about Peter Parker, I've actually only got one other, which is the Peter Parker played by Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I've got variants of Spider-Man, like Ben Reilly and stuff like that, but I like them all, and he's a particular favourite because I just love the head sculpt and the look of the suit. But I have to say, picking up this guy for £17, because he's normally around 30, this is worth the money for me. And looking at the reviews on the internet, I think he's liked pretty much on the whole by the fans. As I said, there's a few things they wished, a bit more detail on the suit and all that. But I'm happy. So let's take it to another pose. So there's another one. I've still got the fighting fists in. I like to get as much variety as I can. And trying to get them more Spider-Man like in their poses. This is not too bad in terms of showing the articulation, but I'll feel it when I feel it in terms of the posing. But it's good to experiment. But I'm liking the look of this guy on camera, and I'm glad I got him at that price. So let's try another one. So, okay, slightly change on the dynamic. Miles Morales first. I put a web shooting hand on. Still kept in one of his fighting fists, as you can see. but we'll come over to Peter Parker, the main man. Same with him, his web shooting hands on, slightly different from what I'm used to seeing, but in a good way. And so yeah, that's a dynamic of the fighting fist and the web shooting hand. So I'm going to put both web shooting hands on both the figures. So both the web shooting hands are in. Let's come to Miles Morales. You see that there. And the pose is basically the same, just a change out of hands. And then we come over to Peter Parker. And I must admit, I tend to like him more with the web shooting hands on than the fighting fist, although it's still new to me, this figure, so it's not all web shooting hands when it comes to me posing Spider-Man. But this is good. Let's come around that side. That's a nice angle. Coming in close. Yeah. So a few times when I reviewed Miles Morales Spider-Man with Spider-Gwen and The Spot, that was my last review with The Spot, I was calling the title of the film Spider-Man and Into the Universe. So I apologise for that. And yeah, I was watching a review the other day on these figures, and a guy that reviews these figures for the film company that makes the movies, apparently they have made the third installment, which is called Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. So we've got Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and hopefully, if it's correct what I hear, there's going to be Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. So that's that. Yeah, and the other day, by the way, I was reviewing Wolverine and called my Rebirth Batman in the kitchen display Superman. So that's what I do, unfortunately. I get into it that much, I get things mixed up or forget things. But that pose there with those two works well, and could consider posing them after this review together. So let's get the obvious on, let's get on the masks. Thought it'd be good to do them individually because they're so good by themselves. And that's Miles Morales, Spider-Man. And pose is the same, he's just got the mask on. Nice looking figure, very Spider-Man and insect-like. Right then, let's bring on Peter Parker. So there he is. The mask is finally on. And he really is. A nice balance of the animation figure in terms of accuracy, and a nice tribute to the comic book look. And I think he is truly my most Spider-Man type figure that I own, because even with Tom Holland, it is a good Spider-Man suit, but it's more like a tech suit, whereas this one seems more like just the costume, like he could have made it, you know? So I'm happy with that figure, very good to pose. So let's bring him up. Let's bring back Miles Morales and have them next to each other in a pose. Not sure about, excuse me again, not sure about this one. Starting to get there, but I'm going to try it again. Miles Morales, not too bad. I'm going to try Peter Parker again, because I want to improve on that. So, had another crack at it, but you know what, I'm going to leave it there on the posing on the platform. And to finish the review, I'll be showing them on flight stands. So That pose is better than the last one you saw, but it's still fresh to me, this figure. And I'm going to go back to posing him out after this, and then anytime you see him on camera again, I think the posing will be an improvement. And then Miles Morales, I've had him in this pose before. I've done him quickly because I'm really concentrating on that Spider-Man. So okay, let's try him on flight stands. Just a couple of poses on flight stands and then finish it there. So okay, this is a quick one on the pose. Just wanted to see what it looked like on camera. So they're not particularly dynamic or Spider-Man like poses, but this is just my run up to 2 more poses that I'll try, which will be a bit better than this, but that's more Spider-Man. That's not too bad. We're going to step it up though. Right, yeah, let's improve. Always room for improvement. Okay, so we'll come to Miles Morales. Not too bad. Try to go for that one, then change my mind. That image on the box, try to get that there, then I changed my mind, but it's in the ballpark. This is better. This is Spider-Man like. I'm liking this. There's movement in that dynamic. You can imagine him flying through the air, moving that way. And in fact, I'm going to slightly change his head position and do the same for Miles Morales, because I like the actual poses, and see what that looks like. So stay tuned. So guys, this is the final pose of Spider-Man Miles Morales and Spider-Man Peter Parker, and the review has been mostly about this figure here, Peter Parker, and he's my second official Peter Parker in my collection. The other one is the movie version played by Tom Holland, and this is the animation version from Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and also Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and you will see that figure on the film Into the Spider-Verse. You can see him there, and that character, or the version I have, was killed by Kingpin, but there are variations of him in other multiverses. Where he's partially wearing his Spider-Man suit and partially wearing civilian clothing. But this is the Spider-Man I like, and he is true to the actual look of the film, and he has a touch of the comic book about him, which is why I like him so much. It's not a tech suit like Tom Holland's. It's a suit that you could imagine he made in secret up in his bedroom. So we'll come around to Miles Morales. He hasn't changed much in the pose, but I keep saying it, strong looking figures don't require much posing, because their personalities or the look of the figure makes them look good anyway. So that is that then. So my next one could be the return to the Logan Wolverine figure, in which he appears in a World War II combat fatigues, and I posed him out the other day, reviewed that for you. But during that segment, I actually put on the Wolverine mask onto the World War II battle fatigues, and I really like that. So what I might do now is go back to that figure and pose him out in a few poses, and if I like it enough, I'll have him back in front of the camera doing a review on him in his own right. So anyway, I've covered all the bases with these two guys, especially with Peter Parker Spider-Man, and I'd like to say I'm looking forward to the next installment, which is Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. But until then, I say thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.